This summer, my wife and I was faced with a scenario. We either could choose to pay to have pool passes to send my wife and both of my kids to the pool for the whole summer, bought, paid for, nothing to worry about, except making the way to the pool, getting the kids ready. Will they do good around other kids? Is it going to be something that they can do all the time, or is it going to be too much of a hassle, too much of a headache? Or we can put a pool up in our backyard. And of course, in my fashion, I decided that putting a pool up in the backyard would be a good idea for this year. It would save money on pool passes, it would save the headache of my wife having to get our kids ready, it would save the headache of having to go to the pool and then dragging them home, the kids being wet, different things with the car. And so in my grand idea was putting a pool up in the backyard is the way to go. Little did I realize that putting a pool up was a little bit more difficult than I thought. When I first started to look into it, most people and most things on the internet talked about how important it was to level the ground. The ground has to be level. It absolutely has to be level. There's no other option. It has to be level. Now, there are people that would troll that and talk about how their stuff was 1 inches off or 2 inches off of level. And I dug into Google, I dug into Reddit. I had many of chats with ChatGPT and Claude and even the Google search bar. No matter how much I looked into it, it pretty much just talked about level ground being super important. And then 50% of the time, it showed people claiming that you shouldn't put sand under the pool. And then the other 50% of the time, it showed people only using sand under their pool as the base. And it was just a confusing mess. Everything about it was just confusing, and I spent way too much time looking into it, trying to figure out what the best options were. So much so that I was looking at building a floating deck and putting the pool on there. But then I talked myself out of that because of the weight of the water, even though I feel like I can build one that would absolutely hold the weight of the size pool that we have. And then outside of the deck, I thought about possibly a concrete pad, but then the concrete pad was too permanent. And so I ended up wanting to dig out the yard because I had seen that a majority of the people talked about you can dig down to level, but you don't want to backfill to level. You don't want to fill in because things will settle and just become a mess. So I decided to dig down, and actually, I decided it, but my lovely wife wanted to go ahead and do the digging because she stays at home with the kids while I'm at work and she likes to work out. So she was using that as an opportunity to work out. So she decided to dig out the whole yard and do that up nice. And I got to look in and I seen people use a barrier with wood, like they created an outline with the wood. And then so I built that and then staked it down and then filled that in with sand and then leveled out the sand as best as we could. And then what I did on top of the sand is I bought some of the workout mats that you would get at like the gym or maybe a home gym where they're like 2 foot by 2 foot and they're like big squares and you can put multiple of them together to make like one big one. And the reason I wanted to put those in was because I wanted when you step down in the pool, I wanted it to feel like soft on everybody's feet. And so I figure over time, any bumps in the sand that I might have missed or whatever, would get leveled out by having that rubber mat on the bottom. So I went ahead and built the frame with wood, and then I put the matting down. And so far, it's working out really well. Um, if I had to do it again, I'm thinking about for next year taking the water out at the end of this season and then taking it down and going ahead with the floating deck idea, because doing it this way left a lot of sand and dirt that ultimately like turns into mud and other things, and it's hard to like walk around it. I mean, the pool is fun. The wife and the kids use it quite a bit, and like it's a joy to have for our original reasoning of, you know, not going to the pool, not having all the load up and bring home from taking the kids there and bringing them back. It's a joy having the pool in the backyard for them to go to at any given time. So if I had to do it again, I would definitely do it again, but I would obviously do it differently. And I think by this time next year, I'll probably have a pool with more of a decking style piece or more of a decking style out there. And I guess I'll figure out the rest next